Hi there, my name is Robert Bruce Starr. Welcome to another Starr Talk. You're going to be in for a great show today. It's a very different kind of show, but it's one that I think that you'll remember for a long time to come. This weekend, I was at a seminar that my friend Lavender invited Lauren and I to, and we ended up meeting some very incredible people. So incredible that I changed my schedule around, and for people that have been traveling around over 36 countries in the last 25 years, they happened to be here one more day so that we could do a show together. So my guests are the co-founders of the nonprofit Lindwall Foundation, and so my special guests are Dr. Isa Lindwall and Yolanda. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for inviting us, Bruce.
It was a very enlightening, a very educational. What I learned from you helped me right away. But rather than me try to explain what I learned, why don't you tell me a little bit about the work that you do, and then I want to find out about how you met.
The work that we do.
Yes. Actually, it started a long time ago. I was a chiropractor 34 years, and during this period of time, I began to open up as a clairvoyant. And in order to, at first I was not trusting this, because I thought there are many entities out there that could come through and disturb my energy field or some way fool me. So I had taken some work from Dr. George Goodhart, which is called kinesiology. And kinesiology is a system that can be trusted very well to check out what is true and what is not true. And the human body is capable of working this to the very core of our soul and to the power that created us. So I trusted that. I had already tested it and tested it. I knew it could be utilized in a trustworthy way. So I utilized that process in working with people. As I got these messages that came through my head, I began to check them out with kinesiology and check the patient out, because every person has a muscle group for every organ of the body that can be tested. And these can be totally dependent upon. It's like in your home you have your fuses that can be blown if you put too much power into a circuit. Well, the human body is like that. If we have anger, we can blow circuits in the body. And I find the most vulnerable circuit in the body for anger, the two most vulnerable, would be the lung meridian and the liver meridian. So, and the bladder meridian. So I had researched this considerably, and being a scientific individual, I had to prove these things out. And as I began to get messages or energies that were like a computer message into my brain, I began to check them out with the kinesiology again and again and again. And then I would check the person involved with kinesiology to see if that was accurate when I checked their bodies. And I found that there was total accuracy every time. And when I began to get energies that I didn't understand, that came in from what's considered to be past lives. I knew they were past lives, but I couldn't trust them because I had programs in me that did not exist.
No such thing as past lives.
No such thing as past lives. So I, in my mind, said, oh, this can't be. I never learned about past lives. I never heard about that. I grew up in a very religious family. I never heard anything about that. But they came in persistently, and they would become so real to me. I could not deny them. So it really took me a long period of time before I could totally accept this truth. But I've come to totally accept it. I know it exists. There's nobody can talk me out of it anymore, because I know. When you know that you know that you know, you're not going to be moved from that truth.
And it's one thing to have a belief in yourself, but it's another thing to have that incredible talent that you have to be able to feel energies and know what's going on in someone's body. We're going to find that out a little later on in the show, exactly how you do that.
Yes, I'll be glad to demonstrate that. It'll be my joy to do that, really, because I love this work, because I feel like I'm an instrument of the great power that created me. And I'm just an instrument, and I know that.
And you've been doing this for 25 years and traveled to 36 countries. Tell me a little bit what it's like in each of the different countries and how people are reacting to your work.
Wow. In so many countries, it's hard to even begin to elucidate about how varied they are, but yet similar. And I'd have to say the bottom line, or the common denominator, is that we're all spirit. We are all pure essence, created in the image and likeness of the Great Spirit. In the English language, we call that the soul. And it doesn't matter what race, what background, what creed, what religious belief they have, or the culture. When we come together one-on-one, and we ask the highest to be present to bring forth the greatest good for all, it happens. And we realize we're family. So all of the other is just window dressing, and it isn't that important.
It's an interesting story because I heard it before. Tell me about how you met, and then we can go on to more serious things.
Well, I laughingly say that I had a bad back. I came to him. He fixed it, so I had to marry him.
Ah.
And with someone with his talent, I brag about the fact that I get to sleep with this man. If I wake up with a backache and a pain here, he knows how to help me resolve that. Not just by giving a chiropractic adjustment, though he's one of the very best, and we had a wonderful practice in Atlanta, Georgia, and I worked as his chiropractic assistant for many years.
So tell me a little bit about, I mean, very, very powerful to be an excellent chiropractor and to have the powers and abilities to be able to sense things. Tell me a little bit, I know you started to tell me, but how does that work inside? What's going on?
Well, as I said, I was getting these, so what appeared to be messages or communications. I rather call it a communication. It comes into my brain, and I hear it, not with my ears, but with my insides. And I previously had to check this thing out very closely, like I said, before I could trust it. But after I checked it and spent years, perhaps even 5 years, doing a lot of research, I finally knew, without a doubt, that everything that came through was accurate and came from the highest source in the universe, the power that created everything.
And we did such things as checking with the client. They would call on the phone, make an appointment to come into the chiropractic clinic. And we would go aside and we'd use the kinesiology method between us as a method of asking the spirit of the highest to give me a weak arm for yes, a strong arm for no, and examine that patient before we ever met them. We only had a name. We would stand aside and Isa would know the subluxations, the names of these various subluxations, which I have never learned. I still don't have the understanding of what ASA and all of this subluxation means. But I was absolutely amazed that when they would come into the clinic, and by examining them with x-rays and the other methods of physical testing, that we were so accurate. And being like the dummy of the pair, it was like a double blind. I was blinder than blind in being able to influence this answer. And after checking and using this process for, like you said, years, then we began to trust it to guide us in other areas. And I'll have to say this